Musibire muta, mwasibye mutya, amahoro, agandi, byaibo, habari gani, muraho, sangonini, kopango, odeo. For those of you who are wondering what that was, these are some of the various local greetings found in East Africa's diverse languages. Welcome to SheCentre, the female podcast, where I dive into the issues and experiences that affect women everywhere. I am your host, Resti Kansime, and I am passionate about creating a safe space for women to share their stories and triumphs. I want to thank you for tuning into my podcast, and I would love for you to join our community and stay connected with us beyond this episode. You can find us on Instagram at _SheCentre_podcast and follow us on Facebook at the SheCentre Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe to this podcast and hit that follow and like button on our social media to be part of the conversation. Hey fam, how are you doing? How is life? Happy Monday. I hope you're enjoying this new month. We are already in the this is literally the middle of July. Yes, wow, the year is moving really fast. I cannot believe that I think a little over a year or exactly a year ago when I started the Instagram account, because I was like, I'm speaking so much about starting this podcast and blah, blah, blah. I was like, you know what? I need to make a social contract. I opened the Instagram account. I was like, yes, this is the official account of SheCentre, the female podcast. And when that time came for me to make the promise to people that I was going to put content out there, I actually had like a vision of what exactly I wanted. I wanted to talk to women, but I didn't really know exactly how I was going to do it. I thought I would make some episodes about my life and blah, blah, blah. And for some reason, this has gone in the opposite direction of how I visioned it would be. I thought I would have to just have, a few episodes where I'm talking and sharing about my experiences and stuff, and then interview some guests and talk about blah, blah, blah. But no, eventually I realized that what I felt like God wanted me to do was not make this platform about me, but rather say my story, stop there, and then bring other women to share their stories. And it has been an amazing journey. I cannot believe that at the beginning of September, I will be making 1 year since I launched like the first official episode of SheCentre, the female podcast, which was my episode. If you haven't listened to it, please scroll down and find out about what happened to me. Answering this question, what happened to you, has been an amazing journey because it has been so therapeutic. I have learned so much from the stories of other women, and I look forward to getting to know more women. And so a special thank you to you, the loyal listeners who keep coming back every day. I am planning to do a giveaway to give back to you. Oh my God, my tongue. To give back to you and thank you for being you. Thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting and for the encouraging messages that keep coming. Guys have commended me on my consistency. I have nothing else to do but be consistent because I have this huge vision that I want people to understand. And I feel like many more stories out there need to be shared. I am very excited that they have so many people I barely know who I'm reaching out to, and they're like, yes, of course, I want to share my story. So guys, there's so many more amazing stories that are coming, and I just need you to keep hooked onto the SheCentre platform to listen to, just listen. Just know there's a lot of inspiration coming your way. Enough about me. Oh no, did I say thank you to the new listeners? Thank you. Welcome. This is a place where we are not judging anyone. It's a safe place, basically. We don't judge anyone. We listen to their stories and understand them because everyone has a story and everyone's story matters. So thank you for coming. And if you're only here because of Prim, I hope that you decide to stay. Like, Prim's story is not the only story that needs to be shared. Prim herself accepts that many more stories need to be shared. So please, please, please stay, listen. There's many more stories down below. Just scroll down and listen to all these amazing stories from different women. And I promise you, you will be inspired. So let's see. Yes, last week we started a two-part series. I like calling it two-part series. It sounds like a whole season. But anyways, the part two, which is the last one, on SheCentre, the female podcast, we continue our conversation with the inspiring Prim Nyonyozi. She's, in case you're just listening to this and you haven't listened to the first part, Prim is a renowned content creator in Uganda, I would say East Africa or Africa, influencer, a co-founder of the Khama Digital Content Hub. She's also a host on the Unpopular Opinion UG. She has a full-time job, but what was very interesting to me was how she manages to juggle all these things. So in this episode, we are continuing because last week she stopped off by sharing a very pivotal moment in her life when her and her mom were faced with, having to lose their home because they couldn't afford, she said, 90,000. Yes, so she opens up about overcoming financial hardships, finding security, and her journey to empowerment. She is also, in this episode, going to share deep personal stories from growing up in fear of losing her home to becoming the vessel of God's provision to others, the light that she is. So join us as Prim discusses her experiences, the lessons she has learned, and her advice for women to face their fears and pursue their dreams. Please, please, please do not stop halfway. Just listen until the end. You're going to hear more about her collaboration with my girl, Edna. Edna, I'm looking for you. Please, you need to be on this podcast. Edna, I am waiting for you to be my guest on this podcast. Anyways, guys, here is the rest of Prim's story. I'll talk to you at the end. Bye bye for now.
And yeah, so we're paying 70,000 and we couldn't afford to pay 70,000. And when I grew up, the first thing I did, because of fearing, because of the homelessness, because of how much we used to live in fear that our landlady will kick us out. We used to live in fear of not having a roof over our heads. It's something I was so afraid of that
Yeah.
the first thing I did was buy land and start to construct a house. And each time when I bought that land, I used to go there in the morning and sit in that land and wait for someone to tell me, "Wano si wamwe, vow." Wano, eh?
Yeah, yeah.
For someone to chase me and they never did.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll do it
yeah.
again in the evening and no one did.
It
Like I
was too
kept
good for you
waiting.
to
It
believe
was
that
too
it
good
was
to believe
yours.
that to this day, part of me has fear that someone will come and tell me, "Who put up a house here?" But the first thing I did was build a house, and there was a lot of money. It got to a place where it wasn't complete. It had a lot to go. It was not even a shell. There was a lot to go, but also a lot of money had been sunk in there. And I remember feeling like this was not a good financial move. But why did I make this financial move? Because that child in me that was always afraid of homelessness had to
Yeah.
put up a space. Because I always
Something
said
quick.
that I'm glad I have that place, that even if any the worst come to the worst, I will always put in Bibati and go there. No one will ever tell me this is not your plan, don't do this and that in it. It gave me a certain comfort that you'll always have a place that you belong to, that no landlord is going to put a padlock on this. They won't say, let's remove the iron sheets, because those days they would remove an iron sheet and they leave it open so that you can get out.
Yeah.
So that's what I
Eh,
did.
man, tough days people would never understand.
And when I realized the financial decision and why I had made it, I calmed down that, this project can end whenever it ends. When I now told myself that, Prim, look, you can afford rent, you can afford to live in this house. God will sustain you. I told people that when I enter a new house, I always tell God that while I live here, may you provide, may every need always be taken care of. And when I step in this place and pray and say, God, may I have more than sufficient, may my cup overflow, it helped me realize that now that's the promise that I hold God on to. That you promised me when I get into this place, my
Yeah.
needs will always be taken care of. So I will not lack rent. I will not lack food. Because I always say a prayer that while we dwell here, may we always have food, may we always have
Very
water,
true.
may we always
Yeah.
have these things. So now it's not even about me having a job or having an income or whatever. I'm just like, we made a pact that you and I,
Yeah.
you'll always take care of these things. And I realized that I can now afford, like, when you start working or when you start making some money, a child who has grown up in poverty, it always feels like, what if it goes away? You're always afraid that it could go away. Someone could take it
Poverty
away. It feels like someone
mentality.
has,
Yeah.
yes, like
Yeah.
it has
Yeah.
been lent to you and someone could pull it away. And
Mm.
in my later years, now in my 30s, is when I'm starting to settle in and get comfortable.
Yeah. Yeah.
That I will always have my needs taken care of. Like I'm now daring to actually save. I'm daring to invest. I'm daring to do certain things that I normally wouldn't. If it was up to me, I would want to have money in a bag, keeping it, holding it
Under the
like this,
pillow.
waiting for, yes, waiting for when they say, it's time
Prim,
to leave this
at
house. What?
campus, I kept my monthly allowance under my pillow. People used to
Yes.
be telling us open bank accounts. I'm like, bank account where? My
How?
money needs
What
to
if
be
the
next to
bank
me.
gets burnt?
hmm
What
I
if the
know.
bank closes? What if, yeah, so that was me as
Yes.
well. That was me as well. But
Yeah.
how that has shaped me now as an adult is at first I would have felt like, oh my God, it's now too late for me, what, but I'm glad that this is the thing about aging. I don't feel bad about aging anymore. It's like an opportunity to live and learn more
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
And I keep telling my friends that with age, it's like each time you turn a new age, God opens a jar and he says, now let me pour for you some wisdom. That is for your 30s. Let me pour you for 32. Let me pour
Yeah.
for you. Because it's like I've become wiser the more I've aged. And I'm like, how come I didn't know this thing when I was 31? How come I didn't think like this
Yeah.
at 32?
Yeah.
And I can't wait to age beautifully because of all the things that I'm going to learn. Like I'll die full of age and wisdom.
Yes.
Because
Very
those are
true.
things I can only achieve when I am aging. So that's the other way that it tripped me. However, it also made me kind of like one of the promises I've told myself is when I finish university, I made sure I tried to go back and anonymously, like, I want to anonymously find out kids that have not paid tuition so that I can anonymously tick that off
Yeah.
for you. I can anonymously pay because I know what it means. And,
Yeah.
for you to miss exams and for how much? For 700,000. When you look back at how much money we didn't have, like what our parents couldn't pay,
I know. So
you're
much.
like, this was the pocket money for some kids. But for us,
I
our
know,
parents
right?
sat the entire 4 months and they couldn't raise that money.
Yeah,
And it's
yeah.
still
Oh
happening.
my God. Yes, very true. And
Yeah.
what you said is something. First of all, I completely relate to your story. Um, I think from primary, we even had a kadukulu where they'd put you. If you haven't paid the school fees, they put you there because they know if your parents come, they will take you home. So the plan was to keep you in the school and to like with all your luggage and stuff. And I remember going into the O level part of my life because my mom was really young when she had us, and then her and my dad separated when we were like babies. So she was practically like in her 20s raising two girls. And then, so I remember in secondary school where they would come at school, like it even became fun. Like people used to be like envying us who they used to send home for school fees because then you
Yeah.
get to go home in the middle of the term. But
Yeah.
I remember S1, I didn't even get my report back. I don't know how I performed because like the money moved into the next term and then we paid it in S2. And then in S2, like there's a point where in my life right now, I felt like God was telling me, how would you relate to people who are struggling if you had never gone through it? Like, it's very easy, Prim, for you to make it right now. You have gotten to that point in your life where you have everything that you need, and you walk around never knowing how the other half of the world lives. But for you to walk around on the street, I don't know who was listening to about that Jalia lady who was saying she used to be on the street and what, and her husband and her, they always give money to those people, and yet there are people who would be like, I don't give those kids money, they are just
Mm,
being like, you're encouraging them to stay on the streets.
mm,
It takes for you to have experienced something, for you to walk around in the world and give yourself, like you said, live a purpose-filled life, because and one of my
mm.
favorite songs in this season is Apostle Luwega's, Grace Luwega's song, that song of Okunondola. What's it called? She
Nyine
said
setinondo.
Chinondola. That song, I listen to it like 20 times every time I play it, because there's a part where he talks about there's a grace, and that's what you were saying. I felt like you were literally writing his song. There's a grace that has been on your life, because Prim,
Mm.
not that many people make it through what you went through. Like,
No.
you could have kugwa dalu, like you would have it would have affected your academics. You would have
Yeah.
like, you would just literally still be there, and for the rest of your life you would have said, I'm blaming the people who hurt me, that's why I'm where I am. But what you
That's
chose to do was keep moving, and right now in hindsight you're looking back and saying, that's why I had to go through this. This is why I had
yeah.
to experience this, because now you're saying you want to help people. At the end of the day, God, now that's why it comes to your purpose. God has given you this platform. Like you said, he gave it to you so that everyone who has been through what you've been through can have it, but he can as well take it away from you. And that's the
Yeah.
reverential fear that you can live with, because he can easily say, there's another person who has lived this life. If Prim cannot abide by my rules, I'm going to take it away from her. And I think that's, I don't know if you have that fear in you to know that any day these things I have can be taken away from me, so let me keep being obedient. I don't know if you
No,
have that
I
feeling.
don't. I don't imagine. I don't,
Yeah.
because I know that I didn't do anything to get
Yeah,
anything.
to get
So I
it.
don't
Yeah,
have to do
true.
anything to keep it. But I also know one thing for sure, that I, you know how people say, after everything I did for you, for me, it taught me that I can't say after everything I did for you, because when God wants his people in a certain place, he will raise up someone. He
Yes,
will raise
true.
up someone. So most times God will just come and say, Prim, I need to educate Resty. Are you willing to take that up? And Prim will grumble. Me, I don't
Yeah.
want people at my house. Abantu obayamba tebajjukira, me, I won't. Right? Then God will go and be like, I need to help Resty. It's like how God says, I need to send someone and who is here, who is available to go. So one thing I know is that when it comes to things pertaining me and the children of God, is that God will always raise someone. If first he says in the sin
Yeah.
agenda, God will go to Prim, God will go to so and so, God will go to X, God will go to Esther, God will go to, until his child is taken care
It's
of.
taken care of.
So
Yes,
we
very true.
are just a vessel
True.
of, there are
Very
times
true.
that
Yeah.
there's a time a friend of mine, the mom was in hospital for a while, and she would keep asking me for money, and I didn't have the money, genuinely. Genuinely.
Yeah.
Should be like, omanyi twetaaga emitwalo 5 tujje wano eno mami twagala mwongerayo, and I genuinely not have the money. But there's a night I went to work, and that day Bananga, I got tips. I remember it was, the first person was a lady with her daughter, and her daughter, I think, was autistic, and I hadn't realized it. But for me, I just saw that daughter standing there, and I moved them quickly through the queue because the daughter seemed exhausted. That woman gave me a tip of £40, just like that. And I'm like, I just kept telling her, no, I was doing my job. She's like, Munange, no, not every day
Not
people get to do
everyone.
this and that.
True.
And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that night, Resty, I got tips. Like, here is 20K, here is what. And I kept saying, I'm getting many tips today. What's wrong? What you take it?
Yeah. Yeah.
In the morning, sawa 12 ez'okumakya, as I'm leaving, like 12 ez'okumakya, my friend calls me and tells me, Prim, no longer a food day. Resty, I drove from work and took all that money to, first of all, I went straight to their home. to find out abantu abazze. And my friend had been in hospital with her mom for so long that bali tebalina yadde ekikumi. And I had to now know that this is what they do for alumbe. Tugule ebikopo, waliwo emmere, mukole listi y'ebintu bye tugenda okugula. Emmere, nnyanya, butungulu, matooke, tugule ebikopo ebya plastic bye tugenda tugule obuwunga kobaza abantu tulina obbaawo obuugi. Like, I catered for every bill, and that money was enough. Exactly enough for everything to do just olumbe that day and in that night. And that's when I understood that sente ze nali nfuna that night,
It wasn't yours.
it was meant to cover that. And it's an example of how when God needs someone taken care of, he will make calls. So you can't say that nakuyamba. No. If maybe you weren't taking care of these people, sente ezo tewandizifunye. So maybe God knew that I had to cover this vigil. And that's why that day I got money. That day I got money. Like I even remember they paid one random allowance at work we had been waiting for. You know how you just be there seeing your account has been credited with 450K. And I'm like, this is strange. That day I got money. When Narimanja yansasula, like, and that money covered funeral expenses to the exact point nga bagenze okuziika. Eze Kampala, I covered that. And so now I understand what it means that we cannot tell human beings to be accountable to us because we were only a vessel. We were only a vessel that God decided, Prim, I need you to help so and so. But we'll know Ghana, I will use another person. I will raise another person up. So we can't say when we take care of orphans that, oh, it was my might. No. Maybe the reason you were blessed with the different job opportunities you got is because wali olabirira bamulekwa bangi. And God needed for those children, because he's a God of orphans and widows, he needed them taken care of, and that's how you have plenty. The people who tell you that, Bananga, I used to have money when I used to take care of so many people. I thought when they graduate and leave my house, I'll have money. You just have what is enough for you and let's say your wife and the person who stayed at home. And yet that time you're like,
I've never actually seen it in this way. I've never seen it in that way. But
that's how I see it.
Like that's
how I see it.
No, that's very true. That's very true.
These people don't owe us anything.
And I think if you move through life knowing that whatever you're doing or what you have, like you could have easily gotten that money and spent it. It was yours. Like in the human like perspective, it was your money. You could have easily received that money and gone and said, oh, thank you, God, let me use this to do something. But the discernment and obedience in you to know, like, this is what I have to do. Because if you had used that money for anything other than what its purpose was for, then it wouldn't have been successful. Like it wouldn't have been a blessing for whatever it is you would have done it for. Oh my God, that's a very huge thing that now, like, it has expanded some thinking of mine that I had been seeing on with regards to giving, because I had never really seen it in that way. There are times when you're right. There are times when you're going through something, and for some reason, I have this lady who I help. She used to be my babysitter, and she keeps complaining. You know, people who are like, yeah, this problem. And I told her, I'm like, do you know everything you have right now has nothing to do with you? Like, even my helping you has nothing to do with you. It's because you have a disabled child that NGOs have come for you. You have a house you're living in right now. I remember in 2018, I collected money on social media and people gave me money. We started for her business. And I told her, I didn't do that for you. I'm sorry to say. And the reason why these people gave me the money was because
you have a child, and God's child needs taken care of.
Exactly.
You've only been entrusted with that child. And so God will make sure that he brings these people, all these people that you don't know, they'll try to help.
Yeah. And for her, she's always like, I don't have this. I'm like, for you, I told her, when have you ever lacked? Like the times when you say you're lacking, it's because you're looking around and seeing what people have. But in your house, you always have food, you have electricity when you shouldn't. Like you've really, you should be in the poverty level of not even living in a house that should have electricity. But you have everything that you need, and that's because of the grace of God. I told her, every day wake up and believe that if you're sick, if anything is wrong, something is going to come to you, because you know for sure that God gave you this child to bring favor into your life. And she
Yeah.
was like, actually, that's a very interesting thing. Then she starts to telling me, yeah, there's this person who gave me a piece of property. There's this person who gave me this, and everyone always gives me this stuff because they feel like they need to help this child that I'm taking care of, my daughter. And when you explain this, it actually gives me a lot of understanding, because I felt called to help this lady. And recently I was like, you know what? Maybe I'm in that season where, like, because there are times when I'm like, maybe I'm in the season where I shouldn't give her anything, for her to learn how to be accountable for what she has. But I feel like somehow I also always have, because I give her. And that's why I was asking. Maybe I phrased the question wrong. I was asking earlier, like, there's that fear for me. Like, it's not, I don't think it's like more than a fear, but it's more like understanding what reverential fear of God means. It's that fear of knowing that you're just an instrument. Like, God can do, you know how God just took the kingdom away from Saul and gave it to David. Like, you just have to obey him, not to do what he's telling you to do, for him to say, okay, you think you're that big, sit on the side. Here is another person who is going to do exactly what you have to do. And for me, that makes me every day live my life saying, oh, if I do not deliver and obey what God is telling me to do, then I might end up in a situation where I actually lose everything that I have. And that would probably be worse. So thank you so much for that revelation. Would you like to share a little bit about the process of you guys' clothing line, Banang, Prim? Hey, I
Oh,
was just
thank you
telling
so
Edna
much.
yesterday, I can't wait to come and just, I was like, Prim, I don't want to tell you, Edna, that I'm going to come and do shopping, because then it will be like a contract between me and you. But I really can't wait to come and see you guys' clothing line.
Thank
That's
you.
an
Thank you
amazing,
so much.
amazing achievement.
I feel like even just that clothing line, honestly, is just like a testament to, it's also like a testament to favor, because
Yeah.
a lot of the pieces sold out. A lot of the pieces sold out. And mostly, I think, I remember when I kept posting about it, there was something humbling in the DMs when, you know, that how you stop and you're like, wait, there's something to learn here. Because I had people telling me, Prim, I'm coming to buy from you because you don't know it, but you took me through a season in 2020 when I was going through this and that. And that one day you talked about this. Like, I can't wait to support you that you support us. Like, I saw how people were supporting me with like an attachment to it. Someone is like, there's a time I came to you looking for this. I never got back
And
to you,
you
but now I
gave
have a
me.
job and I can afford a dress. There's a time you advertised this for me. There's a time you talked about this and I was going through this season.
Wow.
There's a
Wow.
time I came to you at night and I needed someone to talk to, and you were up and you talked to me. So
Wow.
there was something that hit me in there. Like when I realized that everyone that was showing up that day was coming because of there was something personal to it. Like I had people like, you know, like people in the higher world would be like, eh, you guys have access to all these clothing stores. But someone would be like, hi, bring my sister is
Yes.
traveling. She's coming to the US on such and such a day. Meet her and give her the addresses. And I'm like, eh, you have access to all these things, but you are choosing to. And they're like, Prim, you don't know how much you've changed my life. You don't know how much. And I'm like, eh. Because
Yeah.
it feels like when someone
Wow.
lives abroad, they are superior. Like they are better, they are more exposed, they
Yes.
are more. You're like, what would you want from my content? What would you want to be from me, right? But like people like support you, and there's that attachment that goes with it. Of, like I've found a way to support you. May God bless you for this and that and that.
Yeah.
And that was a very, very humbling experience and testament to humanity, to the things
Wow.
we put
Yeah.
out in the world will always come back. You know, when the Bible says that his word will not come back empty.
Void.
So
Yeah.
now I
Yeah.
pray and tell God that my words will not come back to me empty. They will not go out in vain. Like the
Yeah.
things that the good deeds that I put out into the world will not
Wow.
go out in vain.
Wow.
And that was a testament to it.
It is true. That's very
So
true. Yeah. And to be honest, like I was also telling Edna, I was telling Edna, I think because I know Edna like more personally than you. Like I know you mostly from like people and stuff, but I would say part of me is to support Edna, my friend, but part of me is also because I feel like there's this personal connect. You said people tell you you're like my friend. There are those people who you watch on like social media, and you just get so connected to their story, and you're like, I would follow this girl wherever she goes. Like if Prim tomorrow says, "Guys, let us go to Mombasa or Kenya and strike," I would go. There's that. It's I think it's a leadership quality that you have, but it's also your heart that you share. It's like people are drawn to you because of the authenticity in your life. But you say it, like that's how I would call it in the layman's language. But it's
I
the
think that
favor of God.
authenticity comes from I'm not ashamed. I'm not ashamed of where I've been. I'm not ashamed of where I am or where I will
Yeah,
go. So I
yeah.
don't feel the need to show you a
To
certain life
pretend.
that to
Yes.
pretend. I don't feel that need because when I was broke, I showed it. Like my friends would know that when you come
And
to
it
our
got you
home,
nowhere.
yeah, I have a friend who keeps laughing, who keeps reminding me of, she's like, hey, do you remember that day when I came to visit and you had cooked katogo of mukene? She's like, I didn't even know that there can be katogo of mukene. And she's like, I remember your home. And I'm so happy because I have people in my life that have seen these things. Like I just tell God that I pray that you bless me. You know, when they say, I'll bless you in the
Yeah.
city and in the country, bless me in places where like people used to see me. I want these testimonies to be out loud. I want them to say, she's
Yes.
not lying. That is true.
Yeah.
I want people to
Yeah.
say, oh,
Yeah.
I have a friend of mine, this and that and that. Like I
Yeah.
want that people who saw us growing up to point at us and and encourage another person that things get better. You see those people
Yes.
there, this and that and that.
Yes. For you to be a testament to them to
So
believe and be
yes,
like, I can
so
also get there. Yeah.
yeah, my friend was
Yeah.
once asking me a question like, "Oh, how did you embrace this person that you are?" I told her because I am not ashamed of the testimonies in my life. I am not hiding them. You see this thing of, "Oh, they will be with you, or they will do what," and I'm like, like those are
Really?
your like I don't know. I'm not
Yeah.
thinking about those things. I'm just thinking about
Yeah.
like may God's name be praised. May everyone that
Yeah.
sees us or sees me see see the God in my life. May they see that God
Yeah.
can be trusted.
And that is the
Yeah.
you spreading the gospel through the life that you're
Yeah,
living. And
yeah,
yeah,
that
that's very
God can
true.
be trusted. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
authenticity, honestly, I see that people praise that a lot. Like, oh, you're so authentic. What? And I'm like, as opposed to what? As opposed to what? I'm not going
Exactly.
to be out here trying to give you a certain
First
lifestyle
life.
like
Yeah.
do not
Yeah.
have. Give
You've
you a
been there,
certain
done
lifestyle.
that. It didn't work out.
It
I
didn't
guess
work
that's
out.
wow.
Like
Yeah,
I'm now
that's
giving it
very
to you,
true.
Roy. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
But
I
you
feel
see,
like the
I
line is
think
also a testament to Edna. I came across an interview she did years ago, and everything in that interview has come to pass. It's
yeah.
and I feel like what I learned from this collaboration has been more than the collaboration or the money we've made out of it, but more about I feel like now I go to a season where because I've been telling God teach me about finances, teach me about, how to make money, maintain it and grow it. And it's like God was like, okay, one of the people along your path is going to be Edna. That chick is smart. You know that about her. She's smart and above all, she's resilient. She's resilient, she's persistent, and
Yeah.
it's like God crammed so many things into a very
Yeah.
teeny tiny person.
I know.
Because if Edna believes, like I told Edna recently, that if you woke up and decided you are going to be the president of Uganda, I would quit
She
my
would
job
be
and get
she
behind
would
you.
be yeah.
I'll get behind you because I would know that whether 10 years from now, or 20, or 30, or 50, you would actually
You will
become the
do it.
president. I've never
You
seen
will.
someone who puts
Yes.
their mind to something and actually gets
Yes.
it. And
Very
seeing her
true.
ask for things and she actually gets them made me realize that, oh, and she'll be like, she's like, don't be meek. Don't be meek and confuse it for humility. Like, don't be meek. Don't be saying, um, here, let us just do this. And that's like, no, stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. You want this? Okay, sit down. This is how you're going to strategize. This is how you're going to do
Plan
it.
for
And
it.
then you'll see
I
everything Edna has
know.
dreamt of.
Yes.
She has
Yes.
gone after and she has achieved it. It's such a
Wow.
marvel, by the way. It's a
It
marvel
is. I will tell you a very tiny story
seeing
about
her on
Edna.
the inside.
Edna, Edna and the girls, the Bidaris, they came to visit me. I was at uni, And so I take them to my university because the girls wanted to like see how the university looks like. And I was so worried about them because first of all that day I hadn't bought tickets for them to use the train system, and we were moving around. I was carrying them on my ticket, and Edna was like, Rusty, me, I'm tired. I don't want to do the whole university tour. I want to go back. I'm like, Edna, you're going to get lost. First of all, this is a big city. Like, no offense, but in Kampala, no train, no what, we are used to cars. I'm like, Edna, please just wait for me to finish. I'll take you guys home. Edna refused to. She just said she didn't want to argue. She just kept quiet. I said, okay, let me just leave you. When I came out of class, I'm like, where's Edna? I called home and they were like, Edna is here. I asked her,
Yes,
how did you get home?
that's
She's like,
that's
Rusty,
the Edna I know.
I found my way. Like, how can I get
Mm,
lost? I have a mouth. I speak. I
that's
do this. That day, Edna
that's
challenged me
the
so
Edna I
much
know.
because even I lived in that city for such a long time, and it took me a while to get used to the transport system. For someone to come in just 2 days and find her way home, it was very challenging. I was like, clearly, there is nothing impossible. And on that time, those guys got buses, got into Paris, and imagine me who lives in Europe. I was going with my husband and a friend and my cousin to Paris, and I'm calling Edna in Uganda to help me guide me on how to navigate Paris. Someone who does not live in Europe, only because
That's
she
the
has,
Edna
like
I
you
know.
said, like it's true, like she has that resilience in
That's the
her. That
Edna I
yeah,
know. I've never
yeah,
met anyone
yeah,
with such abundance in their mind.
yeah,
Banange.
yeah.
I remember the time
That's
I went
true.
to India with her and she was showing me these things. I was
Mm.
like, what an honor that you
Mm-hmm.
get to do these things alone. And instead of holding on to it and hiding it, like she's
You
bringing
give
me to a place where I could wake up. Like now I
and
know her
start the same thing.
business
Yeah,
things and start the
yeah,
same thing. She's just like, you know what,
yeah.
Prim, if you chose to do that, that would be on you. But also, I remember how she used to tell me, but you should do pants. You see the pants we did? She was like, we should do pants. Like, you love pants and you should do pants. She would be like, she would even call me and be like, there's some fabrics I brought from Dubai. You should come and check them out. Meanwhile, and I'm like, this person, I am
I
not their
could grow it.
sister.
I could take your
She,
business over.
she would be
Yeah.
like, come and see these fabrics. And I see them. She's like, just do pants. You can even start with like 20 pairs. You can even start with like what. She would stick on me. She's like, you'd make money. She's like, you know how to sell. You'd sell these pants. Like, why don't you try? And when I went to India with her, I kept asking her, how did you come here alone for the first time? I kept picturing
I
a
know.
black little girl in
Mm,
India, somewhere like
mm,
inside India, like there's a time we went to like a rural market, like a deep inside market, and I'm like, how did you come here for the first time? How bold were you to decide to do this on your own? So, one of the things like I've learned from her is, my God, determination, abundance, and there's like Edna is the kind of person who tell you, no, tujakola sente ojja zikola. You'll be like complaining about it, like, no, these things, Prim, they are meant to be like this. When you want to invest in a business, you invest and you risk it, and it's like these things come back, and
yeah, yeah.
what I've learned from her is
Wow.
more than what that collaboration was about. I can't tell you, it's like I drank from a
Yeah,
fountain of wisdom, and I can't
yeah,
thank her enough for
yeah,
even allowing me into her life to see that, to get that
yeah.
exposure.
Wow, that's very, very true. And I think what you are attesting to is the fact that God will sometimes provide to you through other people, and it's
Yeah.
how you navigate that relationship with that person that brings out fruit. Because it's very easy for you to, like, I'm sure there are very many friends who have access to Edna, and they have never ever thought about like her the way you think of her, but you see the favor on her life, and because of that you tapped into it and said, you know what, first touch me here and let us
Yeah.
navigate this favor together. So that is really
Yeah.
amazing. And
She's also a
Prim,
very generous person.
very,
She's also a
yeah.
testament to when you give. When we traveled with her, she had about 8 luggages, and like one of them, I think, held her own things. She'll be there telling you, oh, Muni Aresti told me that her daughter has this and that.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
she wants,
yeah.
and there's some medication I was reading about and some tube. I'm going to get them. Okay.
Yes,
As
yes,
you're moving through
yes.
the most, like, oh, Sylvie wanted this and that. Let me get that. She's like, oh, so and so is pregnant, and I feel like she's going to suffer with getting clothes. I think let us just buy them
Yes,
here. Banange, my
yeah.
sister was struggling with bras last time. Let me get her those. There's a mom in my group who has been struggling with nursing bras. Now that I've seen them, let me take them for her. 8
Yeah,
luggages, and only
yeah.
one had her own things. Only
Wow.
one. She's the kind of person
Wow.
who doesn't feel like, let me hoard my money, let me hoard this thing that I've found,
She
you know,
gives.
other people,
Yeah.
like it will
She
get done.
gives.
Edna's hands are
Yeah.
like, her hands are like this,
Yeah.
just giving, take, 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 take,
Very
take, and
true.
take, and take, and take. Like,
Very,
oh,
very
these clothes
true.
for my daughter, I think I'll buy them. If they don't fit her, another person will take them. Like, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I remember when they came to visit me when they were leaving. She was like, Resti Bananga, you've really been nice. You've taken care of me and my sisters. Let us give you some money for shopping. And I'm like, because I know you're a student. I'm like, wow,
When I went
that's
with her,
something.
that's the funny thing.
Yeah,
When I went with her,
yeah.
she came to my room like this in the morning. Afunyize chikonde. So obviously, me, I knew that I'm traveling, so I have a budget of this much. I had cash, I had money on my account. She's like, anyway, this is what? She's like, anyway, she's like, this is some of your, here is some pocket money in case you want to get yourself something. She's like, quarter. And she looked, and I was like, what? Like, I'm like, what? I'm an adult. I'm an adult. Why are you giving me pocket money? And it's
Wow,
feeling like you've
wow.
already done so much. Why? Like you've already
Yeah.
showed me this. You brought me this. Well, like for me, I thought that I was comfortable, like just being in Uganda, never going anywhere. What? You've already pushed me enough. Like she's the kind of person who doesn't have, you can't. If you told her,
Yeah.
I want to apply for a
Nothing
Schengen
is
visa,
impossible
Jisabe,
for her.
she'll be like,
Yeah,
Jisabe, take
yeah,
them.
yeah,
Prim,
yeah,
it's not expensive. Genda. You're like, Edna.
yeah,
She's like, yeah,
yeah.
Morgan, me, I have a friend in German. She'll host you. And you're like, are you, are you,
She
like,
calls me
no.
sometimes. She was like, Rusty, a friend of mine just came to Germany. She's studying there. I want to give you a number. Can you please reach out to her and help her? And I'm like,
Edna is like
okay,
that.
where is
Edna is
this
like that. She's
friend?
the kind of person who is always just trying to
To
put
try
you
to
together
help
with another
people.
person who
Yeah,
she thinks you can help or they
yeah,
can help you. Or
yeah. But
God
that's
bless
don't
her.
aren't you grateful for social capital, because
It
there is
is.
having money, but there is having friends
Yeah.
who make
Even like
things go
meeting
so
people.
smoothly for
Yes.
you. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Like meeting people these days. There's a friend of mine, Doreen, DK. I think you've seen DK somewhere. Like each time I look at her,
Yeah.
I'm always like,
She's called
what an honor
Tansime,
to
right?
experience you. Yes. I'm like, oh, what an
Yeah,
honor
yeah.
to experience you. What a privilege to know you, to know that I could call you in the middle of the night. Like I have so many friends. I have a friend called Sarah. And each time I think about Sarah, I'm like, my God, like what an honor that I get to experience her. That Sarah is one of the most loving human beings ever. Like each time you look at your friends one by one, like when the Bible says count your blessings one by one, I look at each of my friends and I'm like, what a privilege. What a privilege to know these people, to experience them, to actually call them friend, to know that
Yeah.
they're out there in the world and they're my people.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. And I'm glad that you shared that. Um I have so many questions, but I think you've answered all of them in one way or another. Could you please speak to a woman out there who I know, because Prim, I relate to your story. I grew up like that hustle of it. We don't have much. And then you go into these spaces. I remember one time, there's this guy, I won't even mention his name, at campus. We were out and he tells me, I was like, man, there's something interesting about you. You talk to like guys who are nothing. Because he was like, those people who are like first class, like the cream de la cream of our, like, yeah, like the rich people. And then he's like, man, you talk to people who are nothing. Meanwhile, my brother was a bartender in the bar where we were. And I think I was saying hi to my brother. But he was saying, like, I talk to people who are nothing. Then I talk to people who are like this. And I'm like, dude, you've insulted me, but I'm going to take it as a compliment. Yes, I have, like, I'm down to earth. But in that space, I realized I used to see it as a challenge. Like I never really had this thing of like, this is my brother, let me not say hi to him because we're in the bar. I just always actually was out the whole night telling people, tip my brother, he has money, like he needs money for this and this and this. And my brother became friends to so many people who are my friends. And yet he was a bartender in the bar. Many people would literally not go there because they're hanging with, people who have money and stuff. But one thing later on in hindsight, I look back, I was like, that is the unique part about my life. The fact that I can relate to the lowest of the lowest. Like when you find me talking to someone who has nothing, You would never imagine I had anything. Like my Luganda is pure. My Rutor, I speak when I'm speaking to my people in the village. I have them, they call me and they would be jazzing me and we are talking. And if you had me talking to them, you would never even imagine I'm a person who is living abroad. And then when you find me talking to people who are like way above me, you would never also see that these guys are better than me. I learned to compartmentalize in my head to know that I am talking to this
But
person.
it
I'm not
also
going to
teaches you
bring.
people skills.
Exactly. I'm like, I'm not going to come talking to my person from Fort Porto and then start telling them about things of German. I have to come and sit with you. And my story is, man, remember when we
Meet
fell
you
in the
there.
whale? Remember when we did this and this? And then when I'm talking to someone abroad, I'm like, yeah, man, Europe and this and this and this. And that's one thing I've noticed about you that I saw in myself, Banang English. I saw myself
People
in you. Yeah,
skills.
I saw myself. Yeah,
It's
exactly.
something I
Yeah.
didn't think much of until someone actually
Yeah.
told me, do you know you have like good people skills? Like
Yeah.
you make everyone feel seen.
Yeah.
Like everyone will talk to you and they leave feeling like, wow, me and her
She
have made a
understood
connection.
me. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
she
understood
understood
me.
me.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's an
I didn't
emotional
even realize
intelligence. Yeah,
and I
yeah,
didn't even realize that it's a thing that maybe like other people don't have. I just feel like we're all like this, right? Like we all just
yeah. Right?
we
Yeah.
all just meet people and talk to them.
I also get offended when I
Yeah,
see someone and I'm like, why are you feeling better than that person? And that person, it takes a while for me to realize. And later on I realize, no, it's the unique part about you. Like you are the way you are because of everything that has
that has
brought, like
shaped
where
you
you've come from. So you cannot expect someone who has grown up in a certain lifestyle
certain
to
way.
relate to people who are
Yeah.
in society skills below them. So when these days when I'm talking, I remember someone said in the beginning of I shared my story and the person was like, yeah, Resty, I felt like you didn't say, like you weren't saying everything. I'm like, it's really hard to sit down and talk to yourself in the microphone and say your life. But every time I talk to someone, and particularly this year, like most of the people I reached out to talk to are people who I have watched for several months or over a long period of time, and I saw myself in them in one way or another because of how they shared about their lives. And I remember when I was first listening to your stories, I would always relate so much. I would be like, oh my God. When you guys on your show, my husband is always like, which of the three girls are you trying to get to interview? I'm like, that one, Prim. Because I'm always like, have you heard her story? Like all the stories you guys are always sharing. And I'm like, I relate so much to what she's saying. And I think that's something that honestly makes you unique. And that's the one thing, if someone
Yeah.
ever tried to compete with you, that's the one thing that they will have to get. But unfortunately, they can't because they don't have this other part of your life which you had to experience. And you know how God says, in the Bible, like He shows us, like all things work out for your good. That
Yeah.
bullying that you went through and all the pain that you endured, it's very easy to
Yeah.
look back
Oh,
and be
yeah.
like, oh, my life, and that would stop you wherever you are. But if you look back and say, this thing has given me resilience. It has given me that aggressiveness to face life and be like, if I can manage this life, then really there's nothing that's impossible. And indeed, every part of your life. That's why I was excited to hear about your life. And you've blown my mind, by the way. I didn't even expect this
Thank you.
conversation to go the way that it has gone.
It has,
But
yeah.
I can really see that what happened to you, the question I'm trying to answer, has really, like who you are right now, no one can understand it until they go to what you went through. And that's why it's very sad for people to compete with people, because you cannot compete with someone if you don't want to walk the mile that they have walked. Because I'm sure
No,
if
you
you
can't.
told someone go to a school and be hated for 4 years, they'll be like, no, thank you.
I'm
I
not
would
willing
rather
to do
not have
that. Yeah.
everything. Exactly.
Yeah.
But you can't experience that. I also experienced bullying in my HSC. And like you said, I blocked those memories out. I left the school and I said, to hell with you. I don't want to ever come back to the school or even see anyone. And for a long time, it was that thing that held me back, because I always look back and said, why? Why did I have to go through this? Why, God,
Yeah.
why? And just like you, I remember God speaking to me so clearly and saying, those small things that you think were like they're a big deal, I'm going to use each and every one of them. And that's precisely the reason why I started this platform, because I know what it means when someone says, I don't have school fees. I don't fit into the places where I am going because of this and this and this. And I figured if there could be a platform, digital, since everyone these days is on their phone, where you can go and find that you are not alone. and a place where you can go and hear different stories of people telling you, I've gone through this and I'm not there anymore. That can inspire you to say, okay, I can become a better person. Like someone can look at you and say, Prim has gone through what I'm going through now. Then there is
Yeah.
hope for me. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for
You get
sharing your
better.
life. Yeah.
Thank
So
you for
please,
having me.
yeah, just share a little bit about what you'd say to any woman out there from your life experience. What would you tell a woman who is
I
listening?
think I think I would tell people to, this is something I used to talk about yesterday, to ask for what they want, ask for what you want. Everything we want is on the other side of fear, like literally. Yeah, ask for
Yes,
what
yeah.
you want. And the worst that can happen is that they say no, but you have asked. Yeah.
Yeah.
Try,
Yeah.
try, try. Ask for things. If you want a certain job, put in your application. If you want a certain relationship, demand for it. If you want it to be treated differently, demand for it. Ask for it. The worst that
Yeah.
can happen is that someone says no, and yeah, you walk away.
Yeah. That's very true. That's very
Yeah.
true. Thank you so much, Prim. Wasn't that inspiring, guys? As in, as we say in Uganda, banangi. Yeah, Prim has dropped some wisdom. She has shared so much insights. Like I reached out to Prim, ready to talk to her, but I didn't really know how much. First of all, the Bible verses that she's dropping. Girl, Prim, thank you so much. I cannot say it enough. Thank you so much for honoring my invitation. And we've never spoken personally. Like we've known each other, but like I don't know if you knew me, but I knew you because you know you're Prim. But I was very delighted that you jumped onto the opportunity to speak to me when I reached out to you in your DM, when I slid in your DM. And I can never go back to knowing that, like, I'll never see you the same way that I've seen you on social media. Like, you've really changed my perspective on life and, you know, on you. Like, yes. Anyways, thank you so much once again, Prim. And I see big things happening in your life. And to the rest of you, thank you so much for listening. I hope that Prim's story inspires you. I was just having a conversation today with another person who is going to be my guest in the next in the next episode, sorry. And I was sharing with her the story about Prim because she has never listened to my podcast. I reached out to her as well on social media and I was telling her that the work that she is doing, you find out next week who this guest is. She's doing amazing work. She has an NGO. And I was telling her that the work that she is doing is inspiring people. And I was also telling her that this on this podcast, I am able to share stories like that of Prim so that people who are in, you know, the old Prim, the people who are like where she was during the time when she wasn't, like when she was living in poverty and being bullied, can be able to look at her right now and say, oh wow, if God can do it for Prim, he can do it for me too. So guys, please, I beg you, share this episode. As in, just send to everyone. Put it on your status. Please follow us on social media. Join our platform. You know, it's good if you do that because I'm out here trying to expand, you know, the vision and everything, but I can't do it on my own. I'm doing my part, and if you are truly inspired by this episode, the only thing you can do to help me is to share it, comment, join our community, and very soon I'm going to be doing a giveaway to celebrate the 1 year anniversary. I'm still thinking about how exactly I'm going to do this. If you have any ideas, please DM me. I'm looking to do a giveaway because this year we have talked a lot about self-worth, self-confidence. So I'm creating ideas. I'm coming up with ideas on how this giveaway is gonna go. That will be in September, the beginning of September. So details will be coming up soon. Thank you once again. Please go out there and live a transformed life. I love you all. Bye. See you next week. Please help me spread the word by sharing our episodes with your friends, family, and followers. Let's amplify the voices of women, break barriers, challenge stereotypes, and create a network of support and empowerment. Together, we can bring about positive change and make this world a better place for all. This is SheCentre, the female podcast, where women's stories matter. I love you all. God bless. Wasn't that inspiring, guys? As in, as we say in Uganda, banangi. Yeah, Prim has dropped some wisdom. She has shared so much insights. Like, I reached out to Prim ready to talk to her, but I didn't really know how much. First of all, the Bible verses that she's dropping. Girl, Prim, thank you so much. I cannot say it enough. Thank you so much for honoring my invitation. And we've never spoken personally. Like, we've known each other, but like, I don't know if you knew me, but I knew you because you know you're Prim. But I was very delighted that you jumped onto the opportunity to speak to me when I reached out to you in your DM, when I slid in your DM. And I can never go back to knowing that, like, I'll never see you the same way that I've seen you on social media. Like, you've really changed my perspective on life and on you. Like, yes. Anyways, thank you so much once again, Prim. And I see big things happening in your life. And to the rest of you, thank you so much for listening. I hope that Prim's story inspires you. I was just having a conversation today with another person who is going to be my guest in the next in the next episode, sorry. And I was sharing with her the story about Prim because she has never listened to my podcast. I reached out to her as well on social media, and I was telling her that the work that she is doing, you find out next week who this guest is. She's doing amazing work. She has an NGO, and I was telling her that the work that she is doing is inspiring people. And I was also telling her that this on this podcast, I am able to share stories like that of Prim, so that people who are in, the old Prim, the people who are like where she was during the time when she wasn't, like, when she was living in poverty and being bullied, can be able to look at her right now and say, oh wow, if God can do it for Prim, he can do it for me too. So guys, please, I beg you, share this episode. As in, just send to everyone. Put it on your status. Please follow us on social media. Join our platform. It's good if you do that, because I'm out here trying to expand, the vision and everything, but I can't do it on my own. I'm doing my part, and if you are truly inspired by this episode, the only thing you can do to help me is to share it, comment, join our community, and very soon I'm going to be doing a giveaway to celebrate the 1 year anniversary. I'm still thinking about how exactly I'm going to do this. If you have any ideas, please DM me. I'm looking to do a giveaway because this year we have talked a lot about self-worth, self-confidence. So I'm creating ideas. I'm coming up with ideas on how this giveaway is going to go. That will be in September, the beginning of September. So details will be coming up soon. Thank you once again. Please go out there and live a transformed life. I love you all. Bye. See you next week. Haha.